I know what you're thinking. What in the gosh darn is Bits and Bombs? Bits and Bombs is a podcast deep diving into what it takes to do stand-up from a different comedian every episode. Follow new open micer Peter Doms in his journey to be an okay comic.
Yeah, well, Daniel Neville.
That's me.
We're doing a night pod.
We're doing a night pod.
We're doing a night.
We're on the beers. We're on the beers. The Smithy's Easy Drinking, $13 for a 6-pack.
Oh, hell yeah.
I treat my boys to the best, you know?
Mate, if anything, I should be treating you.
Yeah.
But you're the one that bought the beers, and that's
I did, yeah.
Yeah. So, when was your first gig?
My first gig was the first Bright Eyes that Good Chat did. So that would have been, I think it was August 2021. So
yep.
I'm coming up on like 2 years in the game now.
Mm-hmm.
I got into it through, you know Meg Yeager, obviously.
Yeah.
I met her at a party when she was just starting out in comedy as well. And she told me about like a comp that she was doing at Good Chat, Brat Pack. And I went and watched her do that. I thought it was really sick. I've been wanting to do comedy for a while, so I asked her how to get into it. And she put me onto Bright Eyes. And that's how I got started.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, because Bright Eyes is the, like, I've done it as well. It's like the open mic.
Yeah.
And it's a good way to start.
Yeah, dude. It's like, it's honestly one of the best gigs that you could do to start. It's so, like, Good Chat. I've heard you talk about it on the pod before. It's one of the best clubs getting around. Like, it's so good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is funny because I did my first gig at Good Chat, and I didn't tell anyone I was doing it because I was like, I just want to see if I can.
I did the same thing, yeah, where I was like, I'm not telling, like, so I did have like my dad and stuff come, but it was like maybe like 2 or 3 people where I wanted to see if I could make like a room of strangers laugh. Yeah, because like I feel like you kind of can get that if you like, oh, bring all your friends and stuff. Yeah, like there's gonna be, no matter how well you do, in the back of your head you're like, did I do well on my first gig? I know that's how I look at it. Like, yeah,
I think it was just I didn't want to bomb in front of my friends.
That too,
because I think doing that for your first gig, if you do that for your first gig, it would be so hard to come back.
It might be your last.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. But yeah, I did that first gig at Good Chat. Yeah. And it went like pretty well, you know. I got some laughs and whatever. I went, oh, okay, like I think I can actually do this, and I decided I'll tell people about the next gig that I do. And the next gig that I got was at the Royal in Nunda, which was a sit down open mic gig. Yeah. I told my friends about that, and a bunch of them came, which is super lovely of them. You know, I have great friends. But by God, it was one of the worst gigs ever. Like, I invited all my friends to this gig, and they all came, and I decided, you know, I did well in my last one. I'm going to try and do some different jokes this time. Shouldn't have done that. My God, it was a terrible set.
It's funny when you start out, you're like, oh, I need to do new stuff. Yeah. Like every different set you get. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. And like all my friends were like super encouraging. Having said that, none of them have come to another gig since. Or are my friends anymore.
Yeah, what? No. But on it, truly, like I think at the time I thought that it was okay, but I look back on that gig now, I was like, that is so cringe inducing. I can't believe the people I knew and loved were there to see me do that.
Yeah, that room's an interesting like set out. Because like the layout, because it's like you have like a few people at the front, but most of them are like sitting way up. Dude, like it's such a massive space.
You might as well just be standing in an empty stadium. It's crazy in that room. But yeah, no, I have never done well in that room. And I never will because it's not there anymore.
Yeah, so. That was funny. Because the first time I did there, I did shit. Yeah. And then the second time I was there, I did really well. And then the next week, like, oh yeah, it's done. I'm like, oh well. Like, yeah, they packed it up straight after away. I did well. I'm like, oh, damn, lost a good one. Damn,
we lost this room that I did well once.
Yeah, once.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah. So then what was the next gig after that?
After that, I think it was probably just like another sit down open mic. It was like, yeah, I did like, obviously you sign up for the sit down open mics every week and just hope for the best. And you do a lot of that until you start doing those gigs with people who run other rooms. So like, I met Zach Hadfield, got up and did Crack Up a few times. And then, you meet like guys like Finbar and Joel Batham, and if they're feeling generous, they'll give you a spot. But yeah, it's just trying to meet people and trying to be not super annoying about asking for gigs, which is so hard. I feel so annoying every time I message someone and ask for a fucking gig. Every time I message someone, I feel like such a piece of shit asking them for a gig, because I know there's like their inbox is just full of people asking them. And I'm just in there, and then I send like 3, like, hey, just following up.
Yeah. Hey, by the way, I'm still here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that is definitely like, it's one of those things I think you just have to push through. Like, everyone does it, and...
Yeah, I was talking to another open micer. I don't think she does it anymore. And she was just like, who cares? You like... They decided to do this. They have to field the messages.
Yeah,
and I was
exactly.
Like, yeah, actually, I'm going to bombard them.
Every single day for a year. Yeah. And I think that's like, I've spoken about this before, but like the common... Actually, the other day I was at a gig and someone, like a punter, was there being like, can I just get up and do a spot? And I'm like, oh, no, you have to like I've had this gig planned for like a few weeks or whatever. And he's like, oh, it's not really open mic then. And like, I'm like, dude, talk to the fucking, talk to the person that runs the room about that.
Yeah, but, dude, that's something that Brisbane is like sorely lacking, because I went down to Sydney and I did a few gigs there last year. And I booked a few before I went, but then I also did a couple of just sign up on the night gigs.
Yeah.
And Brisbane doesn't really have anything like that. And we like, for people who are trying to get in, that's hard, like to not have somewhere that you can just go not knowing anyone. Yeah. And just start giving it a crack.
Yeah, it took me a while to and a lot of people starting out, like when I started comedy in Mackay and then like came here looking
what's that scene like?
Oh, dude. Yeah, I think it's like it's going as like 1 gig a month.
Oh, yeah.
The thing is, like, some of those like my first open mic in Mackay, 60 people. Yeah. Like in the crowd. Like that's pretty good for an open mic. But then some kind of fluctuates. But the issue is not really getting people to show up, it's getting people to go on stage. Yeah. And I think, and it's also that thing of like, be similar with what you were talking about, how like on your second gig you like tried new gear, because there's only 1 gig a month and it's in a place where a lot of the same people are going. A lot of people doing the open mics will be just trying new stuff every time. Yeah. So don't really get to put in the reps or whatever. Yeah. On the same and fine tune the gear they have. The way that us in Brisbane would, where we get like, we can get like 2 or 3 gigs a week at this point. Yeah. Yeah. And run the same gear for like, I've been doing like the same gear for the most part for like a year. Yeah. Or like, or like maybe have like the one same joke I've been running for a year and then like switching stuff in and out.
I get so frustrated because I always want to be trying to do new stuff, but you kind of have to pepper in the old stuff to do the new stuff as well. Yep. Even though I got a new joke that I'm running at the moment that I really like. But to get into the joke, I have to lead into it with a joke that I've been doing like since I started. Yeah. Like it feels like you take, like 2 steps forward, 1 step back sometimes with that sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Well, it's even like some jokes that you have might be like relative to who you are as a person, a good way to like kind of break the ice with the crowd as well. So like, as well as it being tried material, it's also something that wins a crowd over to your side. So that might be stuff you just have to run a lot to then pepper in the, like, I guess that's the common thing, right? Is you pepper the new stuff in the middle. Yeah, yeah. So you can start strong and then close stronger. Yeah. In the middle, you can kind of like lose them a bit and then win them again.
Fuck around a little bit. It's fine.
Yeah.
Whatever.
Fuck around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I don't know. It's good fun.
Yeah, it's a bit of fun.
Yeah,
except for when it isn't.
Yeah, except for when it's soul crushing.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, what a hobby where it's like, this is the best night ever, and then it's like, I might never do this again.
Dude, I had a gig. It was like during a period as well where I wasn't gigging very much. I was really struggling to get gigs. And then I walked into this one and there was like 4 people in the crowd. And I was like, this is going to suck. I genuinely was sitting there going like, why am I still doing this? Why am I still doing this to myself?
Yeah.
And then I got up on stage and I annihilated to like 4 middle-aged real estate agents. They absolutely loved me. I was like, oh no, this is actually pretty sick. Like those ones that you get up and you turn it around, dude, it makes it so worth it. You feel like the king.
Yeah, and I think like gigs like that too show that it's like not always like numbers don't really matter in the grand scheme of things. Like,
I mean, it is nice to have a few people.
It is nice, but you can still like turn those gigs around and like have a fucking really good time with just 4 people. Like some of the best gigs I've done were like, 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
And it's just because the crowd was really onto it. But obviously when there's less people, it's a lot easier for it to go the other way. And then you just kind of like, it feels like you're kind of just rehearsing in your room or whatever. Yeah. And people are just kind of like watching you rehearse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The worst is when it's like there's no crowd and it's just like the same open micers that you're fucking always gigging with. And you're just like, I got nothing new for you. Why am I even here? Like you've all heard what I'm about to tell you before.
Well, yeah, I think, and I've heard this from other people too, it's like, don't worry about the other comedians, like...
Yeah, but if there's only other comedians...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's like, it's that thing, right, where it's like, well, like, I've heard all your shit too, so it's just kind of the trade, like...
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And half the time, like, most of us aren't going to, like... Most comedians aren't laughing or whatever anyway. So...
Yeah, you're right. It's kind of like winning over a comedian feels so good. Like when you look and like you're doing a gig with someone like higher up than you, like you're doing like a gig with someone who's done like the fucking gala or something or whatever, and you see that you've made them laugh. Oh my god, that feels good.
Oh yeah, it's the best. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Cool.
I had somewhere to go with that and then I completely fucking forgot.
That's all right.
But
anyway, what's been going on?
Not much yourself?
Yeah, fuck all, dude.
Yeah, do you go on park runs?
I've been on one park run and dude, like I felt like I was a relatively fit person. Not like look at me, I'm not like crazy. I'm not a picture of health, but I thought I do physical labor for work, so I'm like I got some level of fitness. I did a run with some comedians who, like, I wouldn't call the healthiest looking people in the world, and they all blitzed me. You know what I mean?
That's what you get for judging them, dude.
Dude, I know. I'm such a prick. But I walked in feeling like, oh, no, I'm not going to do great, but I'll do better than some people, I did not.
Yeah.
It was so rough.
The secret comedy park runs.
Yeah.
Did you ever do the secret comedy tennis?
No. I nearly did after the park run, actually. We were walking to the court, so I was with Gemma Bailey, friend of the show.
Yeah, friend of the show. Yeah.
Cody Grimsey and me of the show. and Nick Carr, acquaintance of the show, Yeah. And we were all walking towards the tennis court and I realized, oh shit, I left my phone on a park bench back there. I'm just going to get that and then I'll probably go home, And that's how I missed out on getting to the secret comedy tennis club.
Damn. What could have been?
Probably about the same as what happened with the run, where it turns out I'm just dog shit at tennis and everyone else is like okay at it.
Yeah. I was dog shit at tennis. And then I did the park run, but I did like the South Bank one.
Oh, the South Bank one.
Yeah, okay. And it made me remember that I had asthma. I was like, oh, that's right, I have asthma.
Yeah. Oh, that's right, I'm pale and ginger.
I should go home.
Yeah.
Why am I here?
Yeah. I don't know. It's like when Cody sent me the message,
yeah,
I was like...
When you're like, I made it. secret
I'm
comedy.
In the inner sanctum. Cody Grimsey welcoming into the upper echelon. I got the message. I was like, oh, dude, that's really nice. But then I thought about it for a second. I was like, hang on.
I hate Cody.
Yeah, no. I was like, Cody is like, he's like, was a really fit guy, but he talks about it on stage, how he's like, you know.
Okay, you can continue ragging on him. It's fine.
Oh.
he says it too. No, just kidding.
Yeah. He's talking about on stage about how he has put on like a bit of weight or whatever. And I felt like, hang on. Has he just spotted me as like a fellow big fella and is like, we should work out together? In which case I'm like slightly offended, but also like, yeah, fair enough. I should probably drop a few kegs.
I love how that's
and thank you for calling it out.
I love how that's what you went to and not like, oh, we're just pals. We're just hanging out.
Yeah. Dude, it's so funny as well because it's like I got a fair bit of material about losing weight because I lost quite a lot of weight. I lost like 60 kilos or so, which is true. But I've also put on like 10 since then. So it's like, yeah, I lost a lot of weight. Don't ask me how it's going still, but like I got into comedy and started drinking a shitload of beers is what happened. And I put on 10 kilos.
That'll do it.
Yeah.
Actually, so are you someone that drinks a lot at gigs?
Yeah, it's a crutch. It's really bad. It's bad because it's like I know that to loosen up and feel comfortable, I need to have 2 schooners. I don't want to have to do that. It's something that I'm trying to break out of. But I also just like it. It's nice having a couple beers and then getting up. It's fun.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's something I like. When I first started, I'd have like a beer or 2 before going on stage. But I tried to cut that out pretty early because it's like, you know, if you're doing like 2 or 3 gigs a week, that's a few nights a week that you're drinking. And it just gets expensive as well.
Yeah.
So I don't... Like, even when I get, like, the free drink, I'll just have that after my set, just so I don't get into that, like, using it as a crutch.
I never eat before I get on stage.
Neither do I, actually.
Yeah, it makes me feel sluggish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't eat before going on. But, yeah, I don't know. Like, actually, so before you did comedy, did you do any, like, other public speaking kind of stuff?
Yeah, before I got into comedy, I used to be really involved in like church and like youth groups and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
And I think that I would do like hosting youth nights and I would sing on stage and whatever. So I think that made me pretty comfortable with being on stage and being in front of people. So that when I first started doing comedy, I'd already broken down that barrier. Like I don't really care about being in front of people. Now I just got to get good at writing jokes and doing them. So I think like that was just one barrier that I had already broken down. Yeah. What about you? Did you ever do anything like, did you do like public speaking or anything before comedy?
Nothing like just a few like kind of things here and there, but nothing like super consistent.
Yeah.
Like I've ran a few like panels, like kind of like Comic-Con type panels with the guests and stuff.
Oh yeah. The Mackay Comic-Con.
Yeah, the Mackay Comic-Con. Yeah. It's still around.
It's
no,
popping
it's
off.
But,
yeah. That was a Peter Dahm's original, I think, the Mackay.
That was one of my first podcasts actually.
Yeah. You did a Comic-Con podcast?
Yeah, dude, talking about all the gaming stuff.
That checks out.
I listened to it recently. I was like, this is fun. I was like 18. I'm like, shut the fuck up.
Yeah. That's so funny. Yeah, I'm glad that there's no recordings of me at least as far as I know, as an 18-year-old being on stage and being probably an absolute dickhead. Because like when you do youth group stuff, you just get on stage and you act like a lunatic for 20 minutes to try and get these kids excited, and then you get off. And I know that I would have looked like an idiot, you know? Yeah. But you learn from it and you get comfortable being on stage from doing it. So I'm glad that I had the experience. I'm just glad that there's no evidence of the experience. You know what I mean? Actually, there is evidence.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I just remember there's...
Can we add it into the pod?
Nah, I just remember that there is a YouTube channel that I will not name with...
I'll do my research.
Yeah. With a friend and I did like we did it for youth group. Like almost like a vlog series thing. I I shudder at the thought of anyone ever finding it. It would be so cringe. But
I think, yeah, that's why I'm kind of like sometimes I think that's where you always think we're like, oh, what if I like started comedy sooner? Like then I would have been able to, like, you know what I mean? Like it'd be good to be at like a point where you're like 10 years in.
Yeah.
But then it's like, that's also like a few years of you being a teenager.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know about you, but I'm from regional Queensland.
I would have said some shit, dude.
I don't know. Not necessarily like that, but like, I don't know. I was definitely like more into the edgy kind of stuff as a teenager. Yeah. And to have that, like...
I've been trying to write a bit recently. I haven't been able to figure out... I think the concept's funny. I just haven't landed it yet. It's like, because I'm still really close with a lot of my friends that I like went to church and like went to Christian school with and whatever. I was trying to write a bit about how my more conservative friends, they won't swear, but they'll happily say the N-word.
Yeah.
You know, I've been trying to write a bit about that. But I'm also just like, being a white guy, you can't really, like, you have to be very delicate about talking about topics like that. Yeah. And also, I just called my friends out on a podcast. They're going to hear this.
Yeah.
I can't wait to have this conversation.
That's a hard thing too, because it's like, it's also like, yeah, as soon certain topics, even if you're like not doing it, like you're on the side that's be like, obviously that's wrong. It's hard to make that funny. It's also sometimes hard to make it be funny. Like it's trying to have that balance of like, obviously you're like making fun of them for doing that or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's also like how to portray it in a way where it's just like not me being like, yeah, it's bad to say the N-word or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty happy to be on record saying it's bad to say the N-word. But
yeah, but like when it's doing it for stage as a bit, it's just like hard to make it funny.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
You do a disclaimer before you're just like, yeah, it's bad to say these things.
Yeah. Hey, just to be clear.
I'm
woke like the rest of you. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Those other guys that were on earlier that just did a racist rant before me, not for me.
Oh, dude.
But I'll have you know.
I have a bit where I talk a little bit. It's a bit like
you're talking shit.
No, so that's well, I'm about to, yes. But I have a bit that's like, I talk about a time that my mum nearly let me do something a little bit racist when I was a kid. I didn't know any better, but my mum should have known better. Mm-hmm. That's the whole point of the bit. But then the next person who got up on stage was like, yeah, I did blackface once. And I was like, oh no, that's not what I thought was funny about it.
And you've just been lumped in with them.
Yeah,
without, like,
dude. It's
you
just
can't
like,
even go back up on after them. You're done.
I went back to the drawing board on that bit after that because like, I don't want to be lumped in with that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because obviously the blackface isn't what's funny. It's just the fact that it was like you didn't think it was a bad thing or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
And someone's just like, yeah, I agree with it.
I did that once. Bit funny. What do you reckon?
What's the big deal? Fuck. Yeah. I miss Hey Hey It's Saturday.
Dude, bring it back. The Jackson Jive. Oh, that's gold.
Anyway, yeah, so then I guess you did some gigs and stuff.
I've done a few of them, buddy.
And then so we did Raw last year, right? So
yeah, I don't know. You and I were in a group chat recently. For some reason, I said Raw 2020, and I was like, "What?" And you went, "Wasn't it last year?" Yeah. I was like, "Yeah, you're right."
Yeah, you just wrote all of us being like the state finalists for Raw 2020. I'm like, wait a minute.
Yeah, that was so funny. But yeah, we did Raw the same year. That year was a funny year for Raw in Queensland as well, because it's like, we got to do Raw in 2021, and obviously the sensational Bron Lewis won that. But no other state did do Raw that year, so they kind of carried it all over.
Yeah,
and then gave Queensland like almost just like basically like well, if we're doing it for the rest of the country, we've got to do something, but we're doing like a half Raw for Queensland.
Yeah,
and anyone who competed last year can't compete this year. So I I remember doing Raw 20 last year, 2022, and going pretty well, and like feeling pretty pumped for this year's. And I got knocked out so quick because everyone who couldn't do it that in 2022 was back for 2023.
Yeah.
And there was some freaking killers in there, dude.
Yeah. I remember just seeing the lineups come out and be like, for fuck's sake, this person's doing it too.
People who I thought had been doing it for like 5 years. Yeah. And all of a sudden I was doing Raw with them. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, there was some people I'm like, what? You're still eligible? But,
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I was talking to Dan Dennis about it. Shout out. You should have him on.
Friend of the pod.
Yeah. Future friend of the pod. You should have him on. He's a great guy. I was talking to him about it. And he's been doing comedy for a bit longer than what we have. And he's like, oh yeah, I could still do another Raw if I wanted to, because I only did 2. So I still technically could do a third one. I was like, huh, I didn't know that people did that. Just like sat out a year.
Yeah, Gemma did that. Gemma Bailey, friend of the pod. She doing comedy for like 5 years, and her last go was this year. Oh. So like sometimes you can just skip out. I was gonna skip out this year, but then I was like, oh fuck it, I'll just do it. But now I'm like, because I've heard like the longer you're in the game though, the harder you're gonna be judged. Obviously,
yeah, that does check out.
But so do you think you're gonna go straight back into it next year?
I haven't thought that far ahead yet. I guess because like I'm thinking about doing going to do Adelaide Fringe Festival next year.
Yeah.
I guess it's like if you start doing stuff like that, maybe it doesn't make sense to then go back and do a Raw later.
Yeah.
You know, so maybe I should do it next year. I don't know. This is...
To be fair though, I've seen like other people do like Fringe and stuff too, and do split shows and certain things, and then do Raw.
That's true. The rules of Raw are so vague because it's like I'm pretty sure the rules are if you've made over $200 from doing comedy.
It's like 500, I think. But
something.
Yeah, certain amount.
There's some people scooting around that old rule. Like,
yeah, but then it's also and then winnings don't count either. Which is all right. So
yeah, because you and I, baby, we're winning.
We're winning. We're winning some cases of beer.
Yeah, not me. I'd love to. I'd perform for a case of beer. My God,
my God,
not yet.
Yeah, but because Raw last year is where we met.
Yeah,
and that's where we met. And then it was actually no, I didn't actually meet you at Raw. I don't think.
I'm pretty sure we met at the urinal.
Wait, really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we did.
I don't remember this.
Yeah, I remember it was like you, me, Angus McLeod, all standing at the urinal, and it was just like, wow, look at us, hey, three boys, just on a pretty good set, and now we're pissing.
One day we're all gonna be at a urinal, and be like, hey, you guys remember?
What? Whoa. Dude,
line up.
Shout out Angus McLeod, he's sick. I like that guy.
I want to get him on the pod.
You should. He's a sick guy.
Yeah, he's cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, but because I remember after that Raw, your fucking Johnny Big joke, I fucking love so much.
Yeah. And that's the old joke that I was talking about that I have to keep doing because I have a new bit that it leads into.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a joke that I have been, like, I think that was like maybe the second or third joke I ever even wrote.
Yeah.
I'm still really proud of it.
And like I think the Johnny Big one too, because it's like I think that like joke gives you permission as well to like that's why you'd use it, right?
Yeah, because like when you're talking about something like that, you do have to like my Johnny Big joke is about being a fat piece of shit basically, which I was, and still like I wouldn't say I'm piece of shit status anymore, but I'm still a big boy. So like, yeah, I have to like make sure that I'm getting across like this is what I'm telling you is based on my experience. We having some technical difficulties, Pete?
No, I'm just double check. I saw something happen, and then no, it's still working.
We're good.
There was like it glitched out, so the video might be a little bit fucky for a second, but I was just like waiting for disaster. But I think we're fine.
Yeah. I just like anything that I talk about, I always want to make clear that it's based on my personal experience.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm particularly with like stuff that could come across as being fat phobic or whatever. I want to be really clear that this is just based on my experience and how I felt about myself. It's not a comment on anyone else. You know? There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, so I went from Raw. So when I went back to Mackay from Raw, I remember being like, that fuck. And I like, it was one of those jokes I was like telling my mates about and stuff too. Like, I just thought it was great. And I think I like, I messaged you on Instagram or something and be like, oh, like just, hey, I didn't get to meet you at Raw or whatever. But apparently I did. But I just wanted to let you know that I like that joke or whatever. And then like, so that's like the first kind of interaction I had with you. And it's just funny because I met you and Josh Catino at that state finals.
Yeah, dude.
And
it's a beautiful segue that you've just done there.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of you, me, and Josh Catino,
Yeah.
we got a little show coming up together.
Yeah, we're doing a little show together.
Yeah. It should be a fantastic little show that we're calling Silly Little Stories.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got a pretty good date too.
Yeah, dude. September 11th, never forget, we have a show on.
Yeah.
You know? I think that's one of the funniest things I've ever said, but nobody ever likes it when I say it. I said that like to my wife. I was like, this is how I'm going to promote this show. She's like, you can't say that. I'm like, why? It's funny. What's wrong? I think it's great. She's like, people died. I'm like, yeah.
But we're going to crush.
Yeah. It's so funny as well because like my wife is so far disconnected from comedy. Whenever I like run bits past her, she'll go like, say I've written a bit about like written, so because most of the stuff I write is based on stuff that actually happened to me, but I just, I riff on it, I make it a bit silly, and she'll go, but that's not how that happened.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, I know. Of course I know that. I'm just trying to be funny. Nothing, hey, just a peek behind the curtain. Nothing I've ever said on stage I really think. Like nothing I say is true. I'm just trying to get a laugh.
Even the N-word thing you said.
Yeah. La vida loca, baby. No, okay. Most of the things that I say on stage aren't true. That one, I'm pretty big on. No.
But yeah, actually, I've had that happen to me where like mum's been to a show and she's like, that didn't fucking happen. You're lying. And I'm like, yeah.
Yeah, of course I am.
Yeah.
The truth's not funny.
Yeah, you got to tweak it a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, dude. You really got me there. Oh, damn. Anyway,
but yeah, we're doing our first ever split bill show, so that's exciting.
Yeah, dude, I'm pretty pumped. It's like this is like absolutely like been your brainchild. You're just bringing me and Josh along for the ride, really. Like you came up with the show name. You approached both of us, and you had like the poster design idea. So hey. Power to you,
Oh, because for me, it was one of those things where like I've wanted to do the Good Chat Festival since last year's.
Yeah.
And then I knew that like at a certain time there would be like expression of interest and stuff opening up. So end of last year, I was like starting to like get an idea of like who I'd want to ask and like, and then just from being excited, then I was like, oh, this would be a funny show name and things like that. Especially like once I knew like you and Josh, I was like, oh, we're all like we all tell stories. We're all like anecdotal comedians. Yeah. So it makes sense if it was like silly stories.
When I was writing a blurb and I wrote anecdotal, they share an anecdotal style. I was like, brother, I know this language pretty well.
Yeah. I know English pretty well, dude.
Yeah. Which you might not get from me on stage, but I'm well around it.
But because I was so worried about that, like being the last kid picked at basketball kind of thing.
Yeah.
Where like everyone has already like by the time the forms come out, everyone's like, oh, I already got a guy. Like, especially at our, like, we all kind of start at the same time. So there'd be a lot of people that, like, are either that I'm friends with that are, like, already doing solo shows and stuff too. Or, like, wanting to, like, pick other people, like, have their own split shows and stuff. So I was like, if I just pick a few people and then just have it, like, locked in. So that's where, like, it kind of felt silly when I pitched to you guys. I was like, hey, this is like, we should do a split show so early, but it kind of paid off because then...
when you first hit me up, I was like, oh, Jesus. It was so far away. But then, what you like, you're right. It makes sense. Like, as a fat kid in school, I totally understand that. Understand that fear of being the last person picked. And it was also like, as like getting the message from you, I was like, oh, that's like nice. That feels good. But yeah, dude, it's going to be so much fun. It's like, I feel like the three of us having that same sort of style is going to be so much fun. It's going to rip. I'm so excited.
Yeah, and it's also cool because, like, we've all been doing comedy for around the same amount of time too. Yeah. So it's not like there's like I don't know, it's like a good balance where it's like, instead of like, oh, here's a guy that's been doing it for 5 years or 2, like, it's and it's all like us experiencing our first split bill and stuff together too, which is
cool. We're all bursting out split bill cherry together.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, gonna be so fun.
And then you mentioned Fringe, like Adelaide Fringe.
Yeah, dude, that's me and you, baby. That's me and you.
That's us. Josh, probably can't make it.
Yeah, but, Josh is one of the vaguest men I've ever met in my life. just like trying to get a straight answer out of him. Sorry, Josh, for like.
But come on, dude. Because he's just like, oh, something's telling me I can't make it. I'm like,
what? What's telling you that? I don't know.
You got a prison sentence. What's going on?
Yeah. What do you do? What's your side hustle? Something crazy's going on there.
Something sus.
Yeah.
But no. So that's us. Because at first I was like, oh shit, like we won't have Josh. Let's get like a third person. And then you're like, what if we challenge ourselves?
Yeah.
And do like 25 each. So I think that's going to be good too, to do like a...
Yeah, I think so. I think I know that enemy of the show, Cody Grimsey, did that, where he signed up for Good Chat Festival, not last year, the year before, literally just going like, this will spur me on to write an hour. If I do this, and Ben Hunter did the same thing. Yeah. I only know this from listening to him on your show, that he did the same thing in Melbourne. It's like, I'm going to set a date, and then I just have to write to meet that date. And like, I think of like guys doing that, I'm like, maybe that's the spur that I need as well.
Yeah, I think it definitely is.
Yeah.
Because when I was in Mackay, I only did like 5 gigs in Mackay, but because they were like so like, I'd like months between each other, I'd like have a deadline to write to.
Yeah.
And that pressure, like, oh, well, so like my family and stuff's got like, I want newer stuff, at least 1 or 2 new jokes. So there was that pressure to like be writing. So it is good to like kind of just be like, okay, let's just lock in that we need to have like 25 minutes each.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a good challenge for us. Because at first I was like, oh my fucking God, like I don't want to do that. But now I'm keen because it is just a good challenge and it's actually going to like, because otherwise like you're just going to not really push yourself too.
Yeah. And what I like about it as well is like, particularly when we go to Adelaide, is like, nobody comes going to know who we are. Like the presumably very few people who come to our show in Adelaide are not going to know who we are. So who cares if it doesn't go that great? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So as like we're still fresh, we're still working it out. We're still trying to write enough to do a show like that. You know what I mean? So I think that's a good way to work it out, is with people who you can will just fade into obscurity forever.
Yeah, I was talking to Angus Gordon about like writing shows and stuff recently. Like, like writing, like doing like an hour or something. Like, oh, what if it's not good? He said, if it's not good, who cares? Yeah. Like he said, if it's not good, you'll just have your friends be like, oh, that was kind of shit.
Yeah.
So I think that is like, I think that especially like, you know, we always talk about like tight fives and stuff. I think that mentality kind of goes over to like having a tight 30 or tight hour and stuff too, where like if you do an hour, that's like, it's, kind of whatever, you might have a solid fucking like 20 in there.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Very true. Dude, how are we doing? Because I have to pee so bad. 45?
We can wrap it up.
We can wrap it up?
We can wrap it up.
All right.
Yeah, so. Huh?
No, you go.
No, I was just going to say what's next for you, but we literally just...
What's next for me? We just talked about what's next.
I know.
Yeah, for us.
I was like, yeah, unless you have any other shows. Like,
Nah. If anyone from Adelaide is listening to this, you can come see us in Adelaide next year as well.
We need a place to crash to, actually.
Yeah, actually, if you have a nice bed that
or venue.
Pete and I can share, or venue. And yeah, just come to our show September 11th, 8:30 p.m. at Good Chat Comedy Festival. You can buy tickets at their website.
Yeah, I'll put link in the description.
Yeah,
as the kids say.
That's a good call.
Yeah,
that's what the pros do.
Yeah, and where can people find you?
I'm at @Neville_ on Instagram, and I don't fucking use anything else. I barely use Instagram, to be honest with you. But I'll let you know if I got a gig coming up on there. I don't know.
Yeah, too easy. Yeah. Was there something I cut you off that you were about to say?
I was going to ask you if you had anything to plug.
Yeah,
on your podcast. And the one thing that you have to plug is the same thing that I have to plug.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We're in this together.
Dude, I am going to go do a big old wee in your toilet right now.
Yeah, all right. Have fun.
Pleasure. Bye.
Bye.